Welcome to Dear Career, where we take the classic advice column and give it a modern career twist. In each episode, we'll be tackling real-life career dilemmas that so many of us face but don't always know who to ask about. Whether you're navigating a new job, thinking about a career change, struggling at work, or simply wondering what's next, we've got you covered. Between us, Nikki and I have more than 40 years of experience in career coaching, recruitment, and helping people navigate the ever-changing world of work. While every situation is unique, we'll share practical advice, honest perspectives, and coaching insights to help you think through your own career challenges. So, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's open today's Dear Career. Hi, Nikki. Nice to see you today.
You too.
So we have a question that has come through on our social media, which I thought was really interesting. And it says, Dear Career, I recently started what I genuinely thought was my dream job. The role itself is exactly what I wanted, but now I'm here, I'm realizing the culture isn't what I expected. Everyone seems to work far beyond their contracted hours, and it's becoming clear that this may even be why the last person left. I'm already questioning whether I made the right decision, but I also don't want to give up too soon. How do I know if these are just new job wobbles or signs that this isn't the right place for me? Great question. I don't know if you want to jump off, Nikki, with this, but it is something that we hear often.
I do hear this a lot, and I've lived it myself. I would ask this person historically, how has their intuition been? Some folks, it just takes a little bit of time to ease into a new environment, and they're the types of people that just no matter what it is, it's kind of uneasy in the beginning. And then there's others that know from the get-go this is the wrong place, and then they hang in there 2, 3 years because they don't want it to look bad on their resume. So I would say, how has your like intuition and gut check been? And I just want to say it's okay to not stay if that ends up being the case. You don't have to stay there. But that doesn't answer their question of how do you know? What do you think, Julie?
I think that for me, it's very similar to that honeymoon period. I think when we go into something, the honeymoon period is either really great or it's real shock to the system. It's like that instant I've made a mistake. This just doesn't fit me at all. So I think, like you said, do a reality check with yourself. Think how it's been when you've moved into a previous job. Have you had the same feelings of uncertainty? Have you perhaps had other people that have influenced your decision at the time while it's so new, which is natural because when we're trying to establish ourselves, we often hear a lot more loudly the noise that's around us from other people instead of having the confidence to make our own mind and our own decisions. So, has that affected you before, to your point? But really thinking, is this a honeymoon period? Am I judging this harshly from the get go? And actually, now that I'm talking about it, there is a book, and I think you've probably read it, Nikki, as well. I'm trying to remember what it was called or who it was by. It was about the 90 days, the first
First
90.
90 days. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember who wrote that?
No, I don't, but we
I'll
can
have
look
to
it
look
up
it
and
up.
put it in the show notes.
I'll have to have a look at it up because I know that that is exactly what this is all about, and it's got some really good points. And it's been a while since I've read it, but it definitely has some good points about um, what to expect during that first 90 days to address that unfamiliarity, not to jump super quickly to a rash decision. And then I would say perhaps separate yourself or separate the job from the culture as well along those lines. It could be that it's not necessarily the role, but it's the other people that are having being a little bit disgruntled with the company in whatever position they're in and whatever role they're in. So really bed yourself in and think, okay, I'm gonna give this a good shot and then come back to this at a later point and address it again.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I would just end on very similar advice. Figure out how to work within that culture in the way that's best for you and not trying to prove yourself. So, for instance, sometimes some of the things like, checking email 24/7 or getting really contentious in staff meetings, like you don't have to always be part of sometimes the negative aspects of a culture. And oftentimes, a company's culture changes as they make new hires.
Yeah.
So they could be trying to change this through new hires like yourself. So I would take a look at the bigger picture of what else could be changing within that company based on their growth, based on their hiring, just based on positions that may turn over. So try to see the long picture and not
Yeah.
just like the first 90 days too, because it could be very different in a year. And, good luck, hang in there. It's a really tough space to be in. And I think working with a coach could be helpful on that to figure out what of this is an emotional reaction versus
Yeah.
where are the right strategic career moves to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it could be, I mean, does leadership acknowledge it in any way as well? If you're really at that point where you feel you've jumped into this role and it is expected, you feel the pressure on your shoulders, you're working much longer hours, and you simply cannot keep up with what is being expected of you. First of all, look at, I guess, your job description and how you were told that this job was. I mean, if it was your ideal job in the interview, there must be a massive discrepancy from what you were sold as this job to what it is now that's making you feel that way. So have you had a conversation with management? Have you documented it? Is this overtime rewarded? Is this something that maybe, I don't know, is it seasonal? Sometimes there's peaks and troughs as well. There could be points where, it's at a high point just now and there's a lot of pressure on the company, and so you're expected this, but it's going to peter off a little bit down the line as well. So think about those talking points with your manager as well. Try not to get caught up in those toxic conversations that might pull you down as well. You might want to even think about how you separate yourself from that and know your triggers with that as well. I think it's really important to step outside the pressure cooker environment and really look at it for what it is as well. But like you say, if it isn't the right opportunity for you, and if this isn't the job that you were sold, then there should be a point that you recognize it and you cut ties, you look for something else. That is not going to be detrimental to you in any way. It's not going to signal that you're going to be job hopping. This becomes then a learning point that you can launch pad off, and also a really healthy point that you can then turn into future questions in future interviews as well. Because now that you know what was sold to you in perhaps the interviews that you were in and the questions you were asking then, and what the job actually was, it helps you to form better questions for future opportunities as well, so that this doesn't happen again.
That's fabulous advice. And I'll just end on you don't have to put it on your resume if you end up leaving. Sometimes folks are so terrified of that, depending on how quickly you find something else, it may be something that you just leave off. So don't overthink that either.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I hope that that has helped. And remember that you can get in contact with Nikki and I through all of our social media platforms. You can contact us by direct message, or if you would like to come on to Dear Career, we're always welcoming
Yeah.
people. Or if you've got anything else that has worked for you, or if you've gone through this is the perfect time to reach out and share. And I don't know if you've got any last points to leave it on, Nikki, but I think this is a great time to come to an end on this one.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Julie.
All right, take care. See you, everybody.
Yeah.